Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is my second version of this video. You guys seem to really like it last week and I really enjoyed filming it. So I thought let's take a break from makeup and the seriousness, and I feel like my video yesterday, if you haven't watched it already, my reacting to Jaclyn Hill, I felt like it was a very intense video for me. It was, yeah, basically. So let's just take a little break. You guys have been sending me your ghost stories for the past week. After I posted my first ghost story video, I was reading through all of yours, and it took me forever to sleep because I kept looking up and looking around, and I was checking that, you know, the pile of clothes in the corner of a room wasn't actually a ghost child, you know, but I love it. So I'm gonna do makeup for you guys today, of course, another look while I read your ghost stories. This isn't like a tutorial video, really, it's more of just a fun little thing. I'll list all the products I use below anyway. And the looks that I'm gonna do in these videos aren't what I would consider wearable. They're more, a little bit more dramatic. So just before I get into reading those stories for you today, if you don't know who I am, my name is Robert. I'm a professional makeup artist, and it is usually my goal here on YouTube to help you become a pro yourself, or just someone who's really good at makeup. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then please consider subscribing. Okay, let's do it. My hands smell like dog food. Okay, so story number 1. Let's go. My childhood home was composed of 4 floors. Every floor has a separate apartment. Fancy, huh? My parents and I lived on the 4th, and my 2 aunts lived on the 2nd and 3rd. And my grandparents lived on the 1st. Right before my 9th birthday, I was awoken by my parents telling me to get dressed because the building was on fire. My dad had to lift us out of a window and onto the fire escape until the fire department arrived. The fire was so bad that steps were missing. The hallways were now black from soot and everything smelled like smoke. My grandfather died that night, yelling for my parents and I to wake up. Oh, I'm so sorry, that's horrible. This was just the start of a lot of bad things happening. Shortly after, we found out that my favourite uncle had cancer and didn't have much longer to live. Keep in mind that he was 6'4", that's very tall, and very slender. One of his last nights in the hospital, I went to visit him and treat him to some buffalo wings since they were his favourite. Shortly after my uncle passed, my cousin was murdered. Oh, what a difficult time, that's horrible. Because of all these bad things happening at once, my parents and I moved. On my mother's side of the family, they would always say that we had a gift that allowed us to see things, but I didn't want to see anything. No, I get you there. Our new house didn't sit right with me from the very beginning. It was a duplex, and my bedroom was at the end of the hallways on the 2nd floor near the backyard. Every night since we first moved in, I would hear footsteps slowly coming up every step, walk right towards my door, and then the floorboards by my bed would creak. Imagine that sound, just gradually. Every single night. I was so afraid that I asked my mum to get me a candle. That way, when I get ready for bed, the room wouldn't be pitch black. I had this fear that someone was always watching me. Things started to get worse, and I would hear someone yell my name, but I was the only one home. Things would be moved from places all around the house. I would turn my room light off when I went to the shower, and by the time I came out, the room light was back on. I begged my older cousin to let me spend the night at his house. We explained to my older cousin what I was experiencing, and he told me to go and grab anything that I needed to bring over to his house. As we opened the door, the candle in my pitch black room started to flicker, and in the corner of my room was a very tall, slender man staring at all of us. I did not take anything with me, I just left. I would have done exactly the same thing. Never in my life, if there was some ghost man, no, absolutely not. No, thank you. My father tried to convince me that it was just my uncle and that he wanted to let us know he was there. But I'm pretty sure he wouldn't stand in a corner creepily staring at me if that was the case. I agree with you there. From that day going forward, I woke up at 3 a.m. the witching hour to footsteps. I've had someone tap me and shake me out of my sleep, yelling at me to wake up. And I've also woken up with small scratches and pains, as if I was getting beaten while I was asleep. That is terrifying. That is so awful. And that goes like back to what I was saying about imagine seeing somebody just in a corner of a room. What would you do? What would be your reaction? If you walked into a room, pitch black, your room, and you just see this figure standing in a corner, I either think you would throw up, you would freeze, you would wet yourself, or you would be like aggressive. And I think they're like natural human instincts to to wet yourself. Well, that was terrifying. Thank you so much for that one. We have next. So we have a story next. And I just want to say something. I never give people shout outs, so don't be messaging me asking for a shout out. But I have to really, really thank this lady. Her name is yogi.blair on Instagram, and I'll link her YouTube channel below. She is a yoga instructor, and I was talking to her recently because she shared me a ghost story with me, basically, and I saw that she did yoga. Recently, and I'm sure everyone suffers from this, I've been getting so much pain in my shoulders, my neck, my jaw area here, the back of my head. It's like a constant headache all the time from when I'm leaning over a computer or leaning over my phone or anything that involves me doing anything. Even now I can feel pressure and stress in my neck area, and it's obviously not ideal. So I messaged her and I said, because I know yoga kind of involves, like, I'm not very familiar with yoga, can yoga help with tension headaches? And my posture is something I'm really concerned about. I don't want to start getting that like bump, here. So I said, can yoga help with posture and tension headaches? And she said it can. She made a whole yoga routine for me over on her YouTube channel. I think it's going to come in handy for so many people. So I urge you, if you have tension headaches or you're over a computer all day and you don't want to get that hunchback kind of posture, go and take a look. I'll link it below in the description box. Anyway, onto her story. A couple of years ago, 2018, my husband and I moved from Ohio to Indiana for his job. Being that I had to quit my job and move to a different state, my husband and I agreed that I can take time in Indiana to really decide what I wanted to do before finding a career. I began my journey of self-discovery by practicing a shit ton of yoga and learning about mindfulness and meditation. Lo and behold, I would later choose to be a yoga instructor and wellness advocate, both on YouTube and in real life. Oh, guys, I'm going purple again. It always happens. I really enjoyed learning to meditate and would meditate daily once my husband left for work and I had some quiet time. If you hear crunching, that's my dog eating something. I loved the way it made me feel until I started feeling like I wasn't alone. Once I got into the habit of meditation and was no longer attached to thoughts, I noticed this weird feeling. It started by a feeling of somebody standing directly behind me. All my hairs just stood on end then. That feeling of someone being behind you. It was so distracting that I would have to open my eyes and look behind me. Of course, nothing was there. I tried to shrug it off. I chalked it up to just being a nervous person. This feeling happened almost every time I meditated. I almost started to have a comprehension for this thing watching me. I never could physically see it with my eyes, but I just knew what it was, in the sense that I knew it was a tall, dark figure. It was extremely angry. Oh my God, I was like, don't be angry at me. I haven't done anything. I have nothing to do with your past life, please. I know this because without any information being fed to me at all, I just got the vision that this thing wanted to hit me over the head if it could. Specifically with a frying pan. No frying pans in the house from now on. Get rid of them. You're gonna have to microwave everything. I have no reason for coming to that conclusion or understanding that anger. I wasn't watching a TV series or a movie that would have a storyline at the time for that to be suggestive. Every time I meditated, I felt it behind me. When we moved out of the apartment we lived in until finding a house, I thought maybe this entity would leave me. I figured it was something that stayed in the apartment. So I got upstairs to meditate in my newly built, I might add, house in my own meditation room. Oh, nice. As soon as my mind felt clear, it was there behind me. I felt it. God, imagine leaving and thinking you've got rid of it and now it's right behind you again. I had this odd feeling that it was standing behind me, trying to peer over my shoulder to look at my face. I remembered one time just blurting out, "What are you?" And I never really got a profound, clear answer. I talked to my yoga instructors and reached out to people online. I eventually saged the house. Yes, sage that whole fucking house, while speaking words of protection, and that specific entity hasn't been back. I get other feelings all the time though. Some are kind, some are just scary. Now, if you excuse me, I need to go sage myself. Yeah, cleanse the area with Fix Plus. Guys, that is crazy. And one thing I remember she says in her yoga video was the room that she's doing it in, because it's in her new studio, that's the room where she felt it. So you can feel it like leaning over to take a look at your face. Just imagine sitting there and just boop, boop. I have to be real. You guys are brave for staying in these like haunted houses. So this is a good one. So my mother's grandmother, my great grandmother, had a baby. The baby cried every single night. This is why I don't want children. Almost every night, a cat would scratch on the front door to get in. My great-grandmother would reach out for the cat and it would disappear. Ghost cat, cute. This happens 3 or more times. There was a night that the cat didn't come and the baby didn't cry, but the next day the baby had died. Later to find out that the house was apparently extremely haunted. There is a train that runs through a town and people claim they would see a woman get off the train and go to the house with a baby in her hands. Later they did paranormal investigations and put baby powder in and around the house and would find footsteps up to the door. Goosebumps. Goosebumps. Oh, you guys have good stories. I love this. Ghost babies, ghost children, ghost cats. Okay, we're good. We're scared. We're doing good. We're fine. So, when I was in kindergarten, that's a strange word to say in an English accent, that's another one. I think maybe a little older, a friend and I were having a sleepover at my house. Fun. We were up late as little ones do, and in the middle of us laughing and chit-chatting, we heard faint footsteps. At first we thought maybe it was my parents, so we pretended to be asleep in the fear of getting in trouble. We were under the covers when all of a sudden my room got extremely cold. We heard the footsteps again, louder than before. It sounded like they kept pacing the hallway my room was in, then to the kitchen, back and forth. My friend and I were of course terrified. In whispers my friend asked me, "Who's walking in your house?" I don't know. We just sat there for a second, too scared to really do anything but hold each other's hands and stare at my door. When things seemed to finally calm down, we awkwardly giggled. What else can you do? As soon as we started to feel like we were okay and we were playing a little bit, I felt something flick my hair. Don't be a ghost, but don't touch me or people. And it couldn't be my friend as she was in front of me. I was looking at her. She obviously saw what happened because she was looking at me, jaw dropped, eyes wide open. Seconds later, there was a quiet whisper in my ear. I don't know what it said. It was too quiet and I was too freaked out. We both jumped up and bolted out of a room and ran to my sister's room. Before I went inside my sister's room, I turned around to make sure nothing was following us. And I swear I saw in the kitchen 2 red eyes. I slammed the door to my sister's room and immediately started crying. Nothing else happened that night. That's so scary. I would love if a ghost has ever whispered in your ears, what have they said? Or if you've ever think you've heard someone say something in your ear and then no one was there, what was said in your ear? Okay, so next up. It says, "Hi Robert, here's my ghost story. My kids and I like to walk cemeteries and look at old headstones." Cute. I know to some people that might sound a little bit weird, but I would find it actually quite peaceful. One day after walking through one, we loaded up into my minivan. I turned around from the driver's seat to make sure my kids had their seatbelts on before driving off. That is very good parenting. I turned back around and in my rearview mirror was the face of an elderly lady looking back at me. We locked eyes for 30 seconds and I turned back towards my kids to make sure they were okay and to see why this lady was in my car. The kids were fine, but there was no lady there. I turned back and looked in my mirror. She was not there. This lady, oh Jesus Christ, sorry, my dog just walked past my leg and I thought she was in the other room. This lady was probably in her 60s or 70s. She had cat eye glasses and short brown hair that was curled. On the ends, I can literally picture her in my head. She looked like a female from the 50s or 60s. I wasn't scared of her, but I still am curious why she showed herself. I've always been sensitive, meaning that I can feel things, but this is the first time I've seen a ghost, and I haven't seen one since. Also, I haven't walked to the cemetery since then. I don't want anything coming home with me. A ghost will follow you home. Do you guys think ghosts can be attached to people? Or do you think it's more places, like places they've died or buried, or what's your opinion there? If you were a ghost and you could go anywhere, if you could choose one place to haunt, like a celebrity's house, or you know, even if you could go back in time and haunt that place, where would it be? I think I would go to like a really old castle, or like in a really old place, and then pretend that that's where I was from. Be like, I died here from, that's an old disease. Diarrhea. No, What did people die of in the olden days? The plague. So I'm gonna whack on some lashes and mascara, and then we will be back. All right, guys, so this is the finished look. It's kind of similar to something I've done before, actually. Why do I keep doing the same thing? Purples. Oh, actually, let's do a little bit of lip balm. This has that nice kind of like bleeding lip effect. So those were a little group of ghost stories for you this week. I have so many in the comments of a video before and in my Instagram, and I'm going to use every single one of them. So if you guys have any ghost stories you want to share with me, or just weird stories of things that are a little bit creepy, then let me know in the comments here below. Or if you want to stay anonymous, you can go over to my Instagram and message me on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you liked this video. Give it a big thumbs up if you did, and comment below, I guess. And don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you very soon. Bye.